My summer in the San Jacintos. People are drawn to the national forest for a variety of reasons. Some seek recreational activities such as hiking, fishing, boating, and biking. Others want to just sit quietly by a stream, study nature, or simply enjoy the silence and solitude of a wilderness experience. The four national forests in Southern California, San Bernardino, Angeles, Cleveland, and Los Padres, are no exception. Because they're within an hour's drive of major population centers, these urban interface forests attract millions of visitors every year. However, while visitors continue flocking to the forest in record numbers, funding by Congress has been reduced for some programs and burdened by constraints for others. The impact of the forest's ability to manage the land and provide facilities, services, and educational programs is dramatic. As a result, volunteers are taking on many roles in the U.S. Forest Service mission of caring for the land and serving people. Once there were over 8,000 fire lookouts across the U.S., but sadly only 2,000 remain, and only 600 are still in active use for fire detection. Of the hundreds of fire lookouts throughout the 152 national forests across the country, only a few are staffed regularly by volunteers. In the San Bernardino National Forest, the Fire Lookout Volunteer Program contributes to the well-being of the forest by assisting with fire prevention and fire management. Some people ask, why are the fire towers even taken out of service in the first place? They also want to know why, in this age of technological progress and innovation, we still need humans at all with low-tech binoculars physically watching over the backcountry. Well, most of the lookout towers were destaffed when the buildup of smog severely limited visibility. Agencies tightened their budgets, and suburban sprawl added even more people with cell phones into the backcountry, hoping that they would keep an eye out for potential problems. Since that time, though, thankfully air quality and visibility have improved significantly. But once facilities and staff are cut from a government budget, we all know they're not coming back. Now, although there have been modest advances in technology for wildland surveillance, forest managers learned that nothing detects young fires as well as a good old trained human with binoculars. Now, I've been hiking in Southern California since I was a teenager, and I've logged many, many miles traversing trails in the Cleveland, Angeles, and San Bernardino National Forest. I've been to the top of so many summits I can't even count them, including some that have fire lookouts, and I always found them pretty fascinating. I've also seen the devastation brought on by wildfires over the last few decades, and I've hiked through some of the burned-out zones in the San Jacinto Mountains, Palomar, Laguna, and Santa Ana mountain ranges, and it's pretty sad. The thought of spending the day perched way up on a lookout, keeping an eye out for wildfires before they get out of hand, always piqued my interest. Now, since I'm retired now, I've got the time to give back to the forest community, where I've spent so many hours enjoying the peace and solitude of hiking and camping, exploring the forest, and getting in a great workout all at the same time. A few years ago, while hiking through the Palomar Mountain State Park, we paid a visit to the Boker Fire Lookout. Now, I had a great talk with a lookout volunteer who recommended I give the fire lookouts a try.
It's right up your alley.
Now, I signed up for next year's training classes, and I continued down the mountain. A few months later, I made a trip deep into the backcountry near Anza, California, and I took a 4x4 Jeep trail to the Red Mountain Fire Lookout. Here I met another friendly and knowledgeable volunteer who explained to me that this fire lookout is in the San Bernardino National Forest and was managed by a different agency, but that they were always looking for fire lookout volunteers. He handed me a business card with a contact phone number and an email, and I headed back down the mountain. Now, over the winter, I made several trips to other fire lookouts, such as the Tahquitz Peak Fire Lookout high above Idlewild and the High Point Lookout on top Palomar Mountain near the famous Palomar Observatory. I also sought out other now defunct or burned out sites where fire towers once stood, such as the one on Hot Springs Mountain in San Diego County, that's also the county high point. That one burned down years ago, and also the one on Margarita Peak near Camp Pendleton that was destroyed by a helicopter crash. The more I visited these historic fire lookouts, the more I wanted to be a part of their preservation. Now, the following spring, I got an email from the Forest Service Volunteers Association asking if I was still interested in becoming a fire lookout volunteer in the San Jacinto district, one that includes the fire lookouts on top of Tahquitz Peak and Black Mountain near Idlewild. I immediately said yes, and I was anxious to begin the training necessary to become a Forest Service volunteer. On a cold morning in April, I made my first trip out to the U.S. Forest Service Ranger Station in the rustic mountain town of Idlewild and began my training and certification to work at one of the fire lookouts in the San Bernardino National Forest, San Jacinto district.
Well, good morning and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. Today, right now I'm in Garner Valley and I'm working my way toward Idlewild. And the reason I'm going to go up to Idlewild today is not to go on a hike, but for some education. So a little training and experience. I'm going to be staying at the Idlewild Ranger Station for most of the day today, from 9 a.m. to about 4 or 5 p.m. And I'm going to be doing some training to learn to become a fire watch volunteer. You know, when you go out to the mountains and you sometimes you'll just go to the top of these fire towers, and well, they're manned and they're all volunteers. And in order to become a fire watch at one of these towers, you have to go through a significant number of hours of training. So you'll learn what to do when you're up there, how to spot the beginning stages of a fire from a lightning strike or an illegal campfire or something like that. You'll have to know how to estimate the distance from your location and cardinal heading, so you can radio it into the to CAL FIRE and give them an approximate location of what you're looking at, and then they can get a jump on it. So before the wildfire season starts, which is normally from about Memorial Day all the way through Labor Day, and then even a little later than that, depending on the year, they man these fire towers. And so anyway, so today is the first day of my training to become a fire tower watch. And the one I'm signed up for is the San Bernardino County Fire. And the two that I'm going to be hopefully doing is the one on Tahquitz Peak, which is right near the Pacific Crest Trail on the right side of San Jacinto. And the other one is going to be the Black Mountain Fire Tower. And Black Mountain Fire Tower you could drive to. There's a rough road that gets to it. It's a truck trail, Black Mountain Road. And I've been up there before. I've actually been to both of those fire towers several times. But the one in Black Mountain you can drive to, and there's a campground fairly close to it, within about a half a mile or so. So I'm sure with that one you'll get a lot more visitors at the fire tower. There'll be a little bit of PR, a little bit of explaining, or a little bit of explaining on what you actually do when you're there. So that'll be pretty interesting, I think. I only have 16 hours of training to complete. So today is the first day. So in a little bit, I'll be heading up the mountain at the 243 to Idlewild. I'll be checking in at the ranger station to start my training to become a fire watch volunteer. How exciting is that?
Normally you take Saunders Meadow Road, you end up working your way up to a fire road, take this dirt fire road up to the top where the actual trailhead is. Well, because of the erosion from this winter's heavy rains and deep snow, it eroded the road to the point where the National Forest Service decided they were going to close it. So I had to park almost a mile down the road and hike up almost 1,000 feet to get to the beginning of the trail. This is a hard enough trail as it is. It's over 3,000 feet of elevation gain, and I just added another 1,000 to it. Well, I am getting closer to the top of Tahquitz. I gotta admit, this hike's kicking my ass. And I think part of it was the beginning there. It just takes the wind right out of your sails, you know. But what a tremendous view. The cloud layer behind me. And the trail over on this side is pretty steep. And you're paying the piper here. It's pretty much straight up. There's some, right up here a little bit is where the trail spits off, heads down to Tahquitz Pin Flats and meets the PCT and works its way back over to Saddle Junction, and then you'll take the Devil's Slide Trail back down to Humber Park. But we're going to be going right up here. We'll do our switchbacks, and hopefully in 15-20 minutes we'll be at the top. Well, I made it up here to the Tahquitz Peak Fire Tower. It was a little harder hike than I remembered. And I'm sure that extra almost 1,000 feet that we had to climb coming up from the road closure didn't help much. But we made it. And right now there's nobody in the fire tower. But you can see inside. We'll get a closer look in a minute. And you even have a view off this direction out into the Coachella Valley, out toward Palm Springs. And you don't have a view to the north as much just because of the cloud layer. But it still is a spectacular view up here. After 16 hours of training on the roles, responsibilities, and operation of the fire lookout at the San Jacinto Ranger Station in Idlewild, I was required to spend another 16 hours in the tower with the seasoned fire lookout coordinator. Here, he would orient me to the cardinal viewpoints from the lookout, identify major landmarks, and instruct and test me on the equipment used to take accurate weather measurements and to perform radio transmissions to communicate with the San Bernardino National Forest Dispatch Center. Well, good morning, and welcome up here to Tahquitz Peak in the San Bernardino National Forest. This is the Tahquitz Peak Fire Lookout. It was built in the 1930s, and it's the only fire lookout within the wilderness. Most of the fire lookouts, you can drive to them, walk up a metal grate, and then get to the top. This one you can only reach by a hiking trail. There's basically two trails to get up here. One is through the Devil's Slide Trail, which leads from Humber Park up to Saddle Junction, works its way south on the PCT, and eventually works its way on this side trail up here to Tahquitz Peak. The other way to get here is off of Tahquitz View Drive, and you'll take the South Ridge Trail up the South Ridge and get up here to the top of the fire lookout. It's got a tremendous view, as you can imagine. Today it's going to be a special day because there's a 20 to 30% there's a 20 to 30% chance of a thunderstorm. So I'm looking forward to it. Look over this direction over by Santa Rosa and Toro Peak. There's rain coming down right now all the way from Anza Borrego all the way over. People are going in service with weather from other peaks. I already did mine for Tahquitz Peak weather. We did mine about 8:15. And Black Mountain, Keller Peak, Morton Peak, Strawberry Peak, they'll all be going in service here. They actually start at 9. I got here early. I put the flag up first thing this morning and did my weather check on that side. I used a sling psychometer, which is what they use to check the weather. So I had a my dry temperature was 68. Ambient temperature was 68, the wet bulb was 54, and the relative humidity was 45%, with a whopping wind speed of about 2 miles an hour. I said it was 2 miles an hour because it doesn't register any less than 2. The flag was literally limp. Hopefully later on, when we'll pick up, we'll get a breeze, because it's going to get hot up here today. It's probably over 100 in the valley and almost 120 in Palm Springs and the Coachella Valley. So it's going to be near 100 at my house in Temecula. But anyway, I got to get back to work. I got to keep an eye on all these clouds and all of this rain coming down, because the likelihood of a lightning strike is pretty high. So I got to get busy and get to work here at the Tahquitz Peak Fire Lookout, San Bernardino National Forest. Well, one of my jobs here at the Tahquitz Peak Fire Tower is not only to maintain due diligence and ever-present watch using the binoculars to try to spot fires or at least smoke before it becomes a fire. I also have to keep a detailed log. We have logs for every shift that we work, and besides logging in the date and the time, the visitor count not only for the year to date, we also count the visitors as they come up. All this goes into documentation that we eventually turn over to the San Bernardino National Forest, and they use that to determine the feasibility of whether this fire tower is actually in a good location and whether it's worthwhile for them. And they also want to find out how many people actually make the hike up here to Tahquitz Peak. Anyway, the other thing that I have to do is I have to take a detailed weather analysis when I get here, because they use the weather reports from the different fire tower locations, not only Tahquitz Peak like this one, but Strawberry Peak and Morton Peak and Butler Peak and Black Mountain, which is having a grand opening today, which is our sister location. In fact, I can actually see Black Mountain from here with binoculars. And so it's an exciting day for them. They've been waiting all winter for this day. Winter was so tough that the road to get to Black Mountain was not passable. And today is the opening day, so they're excited about that. But anyway, this morning I had to take a detailed weather analysis. I had to get the ambient temperature. I had to take a wet bulb temperature, a dry bulb temperature, the humidity, the wind speed, the wind direction, and an overall assessment, whether it's clear or cloudy, partly cloudy, rain, snow, sleet, hail. Today, there's a lot of clouds. So I said it was partly cloudy. There is some sun coming through, but for the most part, it's more cloudy than not cloudy. And there is some rain over off in the distance to the south and east over Toro Peak and over toward Anza Borrego. So all of that gets documented. And I have to use the radio here, and I have to call the San Bernardino National Forest Fire Headquarters and give them the updated information. And they take the information from all the fire lookouts, and they use that to determine the fire hazard level, the threat levels. Now, I know you've driven into any of the national forests, and you'll see those signs. Welcome to the San Bernardino National Forest or the Cleveland National Forest.
San Bernardino 336 on 73.
And you'll see a sign that the fire danger today is low, or it's moderate, or it's high, or it's extreme. And they determine that based on the weather reports that we get here at not only this fire tower, but all of the fire towers. And that's what they use to make the fire determination. So we have an important job to do here. And it's all done by volunteers. So, well, looks like wife's getting hold of me. But anyway, so I have to keep a lookout. About every 10 minutes, I have to do a walk around the tower. I have to use the binoculars. I have to look for smoke, look for changing weather conditions. And I also have to keep abreast of what's going on, not only in my direct area, but in adjacent areas, because you never know up here in the National Forest.
336 is in service at Station 38 for training.
So anyway, got to get back to work. You know, when I'm up here on the tower, I have a really good range. In fact, there's some pretty good, I just felt a raindrop. We might even get some rain here. But what I'm looking for is lightning strikes in particular, because sometimes lightning can come down, it can strike the ground and go travel deep underground, or it'll sit there and smolder and fester, and maybe days later, a week later, the fire can erupt. So yeah, I'm getting raindrops right now, and I see it looks like quite a bit of rain over toward Toro Peak. Toro Peak and Santa Rosa are right over there, and I have to be ever vigilant to look for lightning strikes, because this is the type of weather thunderstorms are predicted. So I have to keep a lookout. And there are lightning rods on top of the fire tower. And if we start getting lightning fairly close, thunder and lightning, I'll go back inside, and there's a particular place I have to stand that's has the least likelihood of having the effects of a lightning strike. There's a couple of chairs that are insulated. The tower itself is insulated, but the chair itself is also insulated. So I have to be careful, because we are the highest point up here, and the likelihood of a lightning strike at this location is actually pretty high. But it's coming down pretty good over there. You can see it right in there. In fact, even all the way over toward almost to the edge of Palomar. And like I said, I did feel a couple of raindrops. I almost didn't bring a rain shell today. I do have one. It's not 100% waterproof rain shell. It's water resistant, but I think it'll be good enough. It's been so hot lately, it might actually feel good. Mother Nature probably needs a cooling off about now. Looks like this might be an exciting day. Well, Well, because the weather's changing, there's a system moving in, clouds are getting really dark off in the distance, rain is coming down. I took my weather readings this morning when it was just cloudy, and I could see rain off in the distance, but now it's here. So I decided just for practice, I'm going to do an update. And this weather instrument is called a sling psychometer. And basically what this is an old-fashioned way of measuring wind, measuring air temperature, ambient temperature, wet bulb and dry bulb, and then to that we'll add it to a chart and figure out the relative humidity. So what I have to do is I have to take this and I have to dip it in distilled water. When we have a little bulb of distilled water here. And this is basically just enough to get this wet. And then we have to sling it. So we have to swing it for 1 minute. Okay, well, why do you do that? Well, it measures how fast this little cotton ball on the end of the thermometer dries out. And so you check your watch and make sure you do it for 1 minute. And then when you're done, you'll read it. And there'll be the ambient temperature, which was the temperature that it originally was. Then you sling it, which measures the amount of cooling from the air along with the humidity. Oh, well, there's our first lightning, first thunder. That's a pretty good one. We're not quite at a minute yet. It looks like the rain's coming down harder over Toro Peak to the southeast. All right, let's see what this is. See what the humidity is. All right, well, it shows it is 65, and the wet bulb is 54. So we'll go inside, we'll look that up on a table, and I'll determine what the humidity is. Well, we got a big thunderstorm brewing in on coming from behind me over by Toro Peak, and Santa Rosa Mountain has been blowing in for a while now, and it's making a lot of noise out there. It's thunder and lightning pretty good, so we'll see if it comes all the way over here. Right now we've got rain, but it's not too bad, so just keep my eyes open, look for lightning strikes, look for fires here at the Tahquitz Peak Fire Lookout. Well, I'm working at the fire tower, and we've got a big cell coming in. I just saw a lightning flash. Didn't have a ground strike. It was just a flash lightning. It's the first one I've seen since I've been working at the fire tower, at the fire lookout. You hear that one coming in? Yep, it's coming. If we start getting too much lightning, I'm going to have to go inside and sit in one of those chairs. Well, I've been sitting here for about the last 45 minutes. This big rain cell moving in. There's thunder, there's lightning, and a couple of flash lightnings. Nothing major. The Forest Service had a report of a tree that was struck by lightning. There was a tree smoking over on the north side of the picnic area. Lake Hemet, they sent a couple of engines to respond, and I guess they put it out already. I haven't seen it. I've been looking this whole time all along the border of Lake Hemet. I can see the picnic area and I can see the campground, and I haven't seen any smoke at all. But the visibility isn't really good because everything is gray. It's clearing up a little bit now. You can still see some of the rain is coming down, but it's not nearly as heavy as it was earlier. I was getting some pretty good rain here on the deck, and then it pretty much stopped. It looks like there's still a big cell over in this area. And now I can hear music playing from Idlewild. I'm a little disappointed I couldn't see the smoke. Must not have been very much, or they got to it pretty quick because I never saw it. But we'll keep looking. that's what we do here. Hopefully if something does tip off here out in the San Bernardino National Forest, I'll be the one to call it in, and they can respond and stop it before it gets out of control. All right, check this out. Look at those clouds. They're rising straight up. All right, I'm gonna let this roll for a few minutes. This is some bizarre stuff, man. It was on the ground. Those gray clouds were on the ground like 30 seconds ago. They just all went straight up to the sky. There's a big loud crack of thunder. All we need now is a little bit of circular rotation. And even if you look over here, looks like we might have some of that over there. And the rain is coming down over Lake Hemet. All right, so the wind has definitely picked up. Rain is starting to come in again. Look at the rotation of the clouds. I'm going to shoot some video here with my phone. I'm going to send this to Jerry. He might be interested in this. All right, here's the clouds that are going straight up in the sky. And we got a massive cell brewing over here to the west and south. Hemet does get tornadoes occasionally. It's not out of the realm of possibility. And the wind is definitely picked up. And we're getting rain now. This is weird, man. All I need is some circular motion. And here's the clouds that are going straight up in the sky. We got a massive cell brewing over here to the west and south. Hemet does get tornadoes occasionally. It's not out of the realm of possibility. And the wind is definitely picked up. All right, well, I'm just literally a few feet from the parking lot. And here we enter the San Jacinto wilderness and the start of our trail up to Saddle Junction to begin with. There are some other cars here. There's some bugs out, mosquitoes, and we'll see how this goes. Looks like other hikers are coming up right now. All right, well, I'm about a quarter mile up the Devil's Slide Trail. And I was telling you about that group of 4 guys. Well, it's taken a decidedly interesting turn here. Super nice, young guys, probably in their early 20s. A little concerned. I asked if they were going to the peak. Anybody hiking up this time of morning, you know, they got to be going to San Jacinto. You know, it doesn't get light for another hour. And they said that they were not going to the peak. They were going to go off trail. which is, you know, not illegal. It's just, you know, not what most people do. But the disturbing part was they're not dressed like hikers for the most part. They're wearing kind of camouflage clothing, and the one guy has a great big belt axe. And he stopped me as I came up to him from behind as they were adjusting their gear. And he said, asked me if I'd ever seen anything up here, up in this region. And I said, well, you know, seen, you know, a couple of things, seen deer and rattlesnakes. And I know there's mountain lion and there's bear that occasionally, you know, transitory bears that come up from Interstate 10 under the wildlife crossing and work their way up Fuller Ridge, and they've been caught on trail cams. Better than that, nothing. And he said, well, I have. I go, so what'd you see? You see a bear or something? He goes, no, I was up there by myself, and I was just about where we are right now, and I could smell something coming from down in the creek bottom down there, and I saw something coming up at me on all fours. I came from behind the tree and stopped about where that rock is, where you're standing right now. And he says, I got a really good look at it. It was Bigfoot. And I was trying not to laugh, but he goes, yeah, they're up here. He goes, there's at least 2 of them up here in Idlewild, and I've seen them once when I was hiking with a group, and then once when I was by myself. He goes, I got a really eerie feeling, and I could sense that he was watching me even before I saw him. Anyway, a mosquito bite in my hand. I didn't put any bug spray on my hands. I just put them on my legs. But anyway, so about 100 yards back, they said, hey, it was nice talking to you. And they slid down on their butts down a steep section of trail down towards Strawberry Creek. And they're definitely heading off trail. So I don't know where they're going. Don't know what they're up to. Don't know if this guy's mentally stable or he's just trying to freak out his friends. I don't really know. But anyway, I'm kind of glad they're not heading up to where I'm going. And I'm kind of glad they're not right next to me all the way up the trail, because the first thing he asked when he saw me is, oh, you're hiking alone? I go, yeah. You ever have any trouble running into anybody or anyone or anything that's caused problems? I said, no. Everybody I've met's been pretty cool. I didn't tell him I'm working at the Tahquitz Peak Fire Tower and I'm working for the Forest Service. Got to left that part out of it just in case. But anyway, I want to get to the fire tower, and I open up. I want to give tower coordinator a call. He's also a wilderness ranger, and I'm gonna say, hey, you guys might want to keep an eye on these guys for today. So anyway, I got to keep going. I gotta get up the trail 4 miles to get to work. So anyway, I'll catch up with you in a few minutes. Well, I am working my way up the Devil Slide Trail, and it's steep right here. And I haven't got to the first little stream crossing, but I'm working on it. And I don't hear those 4 guys anymore. They're down here to the left, somewhere toward the base of Strawberry Creek. So it's like sun's coming out. I still got to use the headlamp for a little while longer, and then maybe another 10 minutes, and I should be able to turn it off. So anyway, I'm getting there. I'm working my way up to Saddle Junction, and eventually Tahquitz Peak. Well, that's a Suicide Rock behind me. As the sun's finally starting to come up, you can see just the very edge of Diamond Valley Reservoir. Saddle Junction is a couple of switchbacks up the hill. But I'm a little concerned. I just heard a gunshot coming from down here in Strawberry Creek. You know, it was those guys. Anyway, hopefully they're not up to no good, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm getting there. Hear all the jets flying overhead. Must be the direct flight east. Who knows, maybe they're heading to Vegas. Well, I've arrived at Saddle Junction. I came up from this direction. And Saddle Junction's right here in front of me. And I'm a little tired. You can feel the altitude a little bit. The mosquitoes are out a little bit up here too. I can feel them buzzing around my face a bit. But the one thing that concerns me was about half hour ago, I heard a single gunshot down in Strawberry Valley. So it's coming from those kids. Sounded like a high-powered handgun. Didn't sound like a rifle. I didn't see any long rifles on them. So my guess it was just a handgun. Just one shot though. Anyway, I think a few minutes here at Saddle Junction, get a little snack, take a couple swigs of water, and then finish this thing up at Tahquitz Peak. Well, I've arrived at the fire tower, Tahquitz Peak Fire Lookout, and now I gotta unlock the fire tower and get ready for my day today. At the fire tower lookout. That's a tough hike. It's tough every time I come up here. Anyway, I got lots to do. I gotta get going. Well, this is my view this morning from the Tahquitz Peak Fire Lookout. It's a little breezy this morning. It's about a 5-mile-an-hour wind out of the southeast. Temperature's about 60 degrees, but with the wind it feels a little chillier than that. And a lot of jets overhead today. Looks like clear sky. Is going to be a great day for fire watching. A couple of big hawks just flew around the edge of the fire tower. I got the flag up already. Hopefully we'll have some great views today. Well, good morning from the Tahquitz Peak Fire Lookout. I came in, opened up the fire towers, called in that we were in service, and did a weather check. Well, now that I'm all set up here at the Tahquitz Peak Fire Lookout, got my coffee for the morning, and I'm looking forward to a good day up here at 8,837 feet in the San Jacinto Mountains. It's actually considered the San Bernardino National Forest, believe it or not. But say it's going to be a nice clear day. I can't quite make out Salton Sea. It's in a little haze layer. Hopefully with this breeze, it'll clear up here. But I have great views looking to the west. I can see down to Diamond Valley Lake and Lake Skinner. See off really good views. Let's see a Forest Service fire radio. Oh, it's just for a lineup, so we're good. Anyway, hopefully it'll be an uneventful day. It's always exciting to be the first one to catch the smoke, but on the other hand, you really don't want to see smoke either, so hopefully I'll see some hawks. Maybe I'll get another peek at that eagle. You never know. Did see a deer on the way up here this morning. Ooh, that's hot. Anyway, one visitor came up. Didn't come up to the tower. They just came up, waved, said hi, and headed back down, I guess. So we'll see if I have any visitors today. I would imagine on a Friday I would probably get 25 or 30, I would imagine. But had some interesting interactions down below with those guys I was telling you about that headed off down to the base of Strawberry Creek. I stiffed a phone call into National Forest Service, and they sent a patrol unit over there to check it out. And by the time they got there, all the vehicles were gone. So whatever they were here to do, they got up the part of the Devil's Slide Trail, snuck down into Strawberry Creek, fired one round that I heard, and left. So I don't know what they were doing. Probably up to no good, I imagine. But at least they're gone. So I don't have to worry anymore about them starting an illegal fire or any more illegal activities, at least for today. Well, anyway, here's to you this morning. Hopefully I'll have a great day up here at Tahquitz Peak. Well, if you haven't figured it out by now, this video is going to be a long one. It's going to be one of my longest hiking-related video to date. It's almost an hour and 20 minutes. So this is way too long to watch in one sitting. I mean, you could, I guess, technically, but I'm going to split it up into two sections just to make it a little easier for you to kind of digest the whole season. Remember, this isn't one hike. This is about 6 hikes condensed to one video, or 2 videos now, I guess.
So anyway, well, thanks for watching the first half, and the next half will be coming up next. It'll be day 4, or my 4th trip on through the end of the season. And if you're wondering what this is, I talk about this in the second half of the video. I had numerous shoulder dislocations and a whole bunch of damage going on. It's not something that happened in an accident. It's something that's been going on for 30, 40 years. And I finally decided, since it's the off season, it's probably the best time to do it, because if I wait any later, it's going to go into the fire lookout season. I won't be able to work it this year. So good thing is I'm getting it done now. It hurts. I gotta be honest, it hurts. And it didn't hurt so bad until I started physical therapy. And now it really hurts. But it's getting better. Range of motion's getting better. And when I'm all said and done with all this, by the time I get through all this, my shoulder should be rock solid. So I'm excited about that. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this first part of my series, My Summer in the San Jacintos. And stay tuned for the second half. That'll all be coming up next. And don't forget to click and subscribe to the channel. Thanks to the people that have stuck with me over the years watching my long videos. I know that YouTube likes 8-minute videos and mine are 30 minutes. So I appreciate the loyal fans and viewers that have stuck around with me and enjoyed some of the episodes that I've done on hiking all through Southern California. Well, one more thing before I go into the next edition. I was asked to go back to the Murrieta Library to actually teach a class. I'm going to be doing a lecture, a presentation on local hikes in Southern California. So I'm excited about that too. That'll all be coming up next month. So I got to get cracking on that. I got to get together a PowerPoint and get my slideshow ready and get ready for that. But in the meantime, I got to finish this editing of this video, and I have to do more physical therapy. So anyway, take care, and hope you enjoy this next episode of My Summer in the San Jacintos. That'll all be coming up next. All right, take care.